And we're back with another Transit Fridays. Today, all focusing on the eclipse. So, welcome to eclipse seasons. So, last video that I published was about some personal insights on my astro diaries, where I was talking about the different layers of experience that we can have during an eclipse season. And alas, we are on eclipse season right now. So, we're just headed towards the first one, which will be a full moon eclipse next Friday. Now, obviously, I'm always here with my Transits Fridays, so I will be back if everything is okay. And I'm sure it will be. But I will be back next Friday with another Transits Fridays, which is the day of the eclipse. But for some places in the world, it will be happening on Thursday. And even here, it will be happening on Friday, but like 3 a.m. So really, I just thought it would be really worth it just focusing on this now and reflecting on what are the important themes, what are the important flavors that this full moon eclipse will be bringing to us. Now, this is the chart for the 7th of March today, obviously, but just to give you a little go around the week very quickly before we get to the chart of the eclipse. So we're just coming out of a bit of a first quarter phase of the moon, right? So time when things are picking up a little bit more within the lunar cycle. So we're getting more active. We're building something. We're getting busier. I think that's the flavor there. We're still obviously having Venus retrograde. So a lot of the stuff I talked about week ago or a couple of weeks ago when I talked about Venus moving retrograde is still obviously under the spotlight as well as a kind of a, flavor, underlying flavor. So this is Monday. We're going to have Mercury and Venus meeting this week as well, which is another kind of sub flavor that will be happening. Here we have Venus and Mercury at 8 degrees Aries. So they're sort of meeting in the same degree that the new moon eclipse will be happening. The new moon eclipse will be happening on the 29th of March, so 28, 29, depending on where you are. And that new moon eclipse will happen at 9 degrees Aries. So this encounter between Venus and Mercury at 8 degrees here is giving us some insight, some ideas, something that we might then go back to when there is a new moon eclipse, all right? So really, it's all about keeping track and paying attention and using these energies constructively. So here we are on the 13th of March. Moon is already in Virgo, which is where the full moon eclipse is going to be. And boom, here we are, 14th of March in Brazil, 3:54 a.m. So this is going to be a different time for you somewhere else in the world. That's when this full moon eclipse is happening. So is a total eclipse, this one. So Moon at 23 Virgo, Sun at 23 Pisces. And obviously, eclipses happen because the lunation is happening near the lunar nodes. Basically, that's what an eclipse is. And that has something to do with letting go of the past really strongly and stepping into our growth, our evolution. Eclipses do bring an energy that's a little bit non-negotiable, that's a little bit intense at times, but it doesn't have to always be bearing bad news. It can also be good news as well, and things that will change your life for better. Even when they're bad news, they can be changing your life for better as well. Things that we actually needed to let go, like the example I gave in my Astro Diaries about a relationship that broke up. A person broke up with me years ago, and that was a full moon eclipse that was picking up a Pluto transit I was having to my natal moon. That wasn't what I wanted, but that was what I needed, and that was for the best. That was really important in my life. I then went traveling alone and went to Thailand to do yoga course, etc., which I wouldn't have done if that person didn't break up with me. So again, we're going through an eclipse season here, a full moon eclipse, a huge release of energy. Bernadette Brady talks about eclipses as when we have earthquakes An earthquake as Mother Earth realigning herself. And sometimes that realignment can be very subtle. Sometimes it needs more movement because we haven't done it in a long time. So if there are changes and adjustments that we need to do in our lives that we haven't tended to for a long time, then this can be a little bit more dramatic. But full moons, they're culminations, they're connected to harvest, is when the moon is really, really bright and big in the sky. So it has something to do with big insights, realizations. Something becomes crystal clear, something that we needed to realize, we needed to see, we needed to know. There is a real sense of revelation. This full moon is also in trine to Uranus, which can really be this big sense of revelation. You know, oh my God, I know I didn't see this. How did I not see this before? Right? So one of the layers here is the sense of big revelation. Now, obviously, the moon is very close to the south node in Virgo. What does that entail? What is that reflecting? Letting go of the shadows of Virgo, putting very simply. So we have an opportunity here with this full moon eclipse on the 14th to let go of some of the shadows of Virgo that we practice. Are you an overthinker, over worrier? Are you always anxious? Are you trying to control everything, plan everything, and always be useful and always? That's the time to let go of some of these behaviors. And if you're not so sure what some of the shadows of Virgo can be and what the North Node in Pisces is about as well, there is a video I did as well a few weeks ago when the lunar nodes shifted, very comprehensive about the South Node in Virgo and the North Node in Pisces. That's going to be super relevant for this full moon because some of these topics you recognize and you can set conscious intentions during this full moon to let them go and create your own ritual for that. So that could be really useful. Now, another, and I'll put it in the description so you can find that video really quickly if you want to. Now, another flavor here during this full moon eclipse is obviously an emphasis on Saturn. Saturn is under the spotlight because it's very strongly involved in this full moon eclipse. So we've got the moon in opposition to Saturn and the sun conjoined Saturn in Pisces. So the Piscean Saturn flavor is definitely going to be strong. And Saturn, we know, can be about restrictions, can be about karma, can be about a lot of things. But mainly, I like to think about Saturn in connection to mastery. I like to think about Saturn in connection to discipline, responsibility, accountability. And all of these things are connected to the Pisces flavor. And we have an emphasis here in Pisces with the North Node, telling that our growth is in that direction now, and Neptune there as well. So mastering the Piscean flavor, having opportunities to master, to take accountability and responsibility in connection to Pisces. Now, Pisces can be about creativity, you know, the creative genius, the creative madness, like Lise Green said. Pisces can also be about our spiritual life, our inner life. Pisces in the tarot has a connection to the moon, the card of the moon in the major arcana. So is everything that's hidden, that's a bit secret, that's a bit it doesn't really necessarily make sense if we try to pin down, if we try to dissect and analyze it. We need to use different senses in that realm. In the moon realm, we need to use different senses. We need to use our third eye, our intuition. And it's the same here. This is a big opportunity to strengthen and crystallize our intuition, our third eye, the knowing without knowing, right? That's all the sort of Piscean flavor here. And emotional intelligence, that's another one with, you know, Saturn and a water sign. I'm really going for that. Mastering how to go with the flow. We are going down the river. We can stir the boat, but we are going down river. We can't just try and go up river. So having those understandings, realizing that we're here to offer the higher service somehow. I really feel there's something really important this month, which is the bridge, the connection between Aries and Pisces. And that's really mastering the sense of individuality, healing the sense of individuality and identity, but also bringing that Piscean flavor with us, the notion that we're all interconnected, that if I hurt someone, I'm hurting myself as well. Um, so knowing that through our individuality and pioneering spirit, we are channeling something of our higher selves as well, something that we were meant to be all along, right? There's this quote which I love and I shared many times, and I'm going to share again because I feel it summarizes this liminal space between Aries and Pisces, which is there is something of God that can be expressed only by you, and that can be experienced by others only through you. That is the Aries flavor channeling something of God that can be only uniquely channeled by our individual selves. So I feel that there is a lot of that we're going to be focusing on during March in particular, and I would say throughout the year as well, as Neptune moves to Aries, Saturn moves to Aries as well, and then moves back to Pisces. So we're going to be between Aries and Pisces throughout this year. And this full moon is also emphasizing that exchange, that bridge, that liminal space between these two very different signs. Another flavor here from this full moon eclipse is also Mars in square to Chiron, which will be perfecting the new moon eclipse as well. So this is another very important flavor that will be throughout this eclipse season, and is no news. I mean, we've gone through that because Mars went retrograde and squared Chiron a few times, and trine also Saturn, and it will oppose Pluto eventually again. So we've been reviewing Mars, our inner warrior, how to say no, how to set boundaries, how to take initiative, how to go after and conquer what we want, right? And that's kind of still here reverberating. That lesson is still here during this eclipse as well, and the whole eclipse season, really, where we're learning and we're healing our ability to assert ourselves, to take charge, to say no, to take initiative, and etc. So that's also there. All right. Now that's it. I hope this quick conversation has been helpful and given you some very important food for thought for this important week, which is eclipse week. So I hope you can make the most of it. You can embrace these energies and really transform your life for better. Bring some more empowerment into your life. And that's it. Wishing you a wonderful week, a beautiful time, a beautiful weekend, and I'll be seeing you next week. Mwah. Big kiss. Take care.